Right. So the last time, the second part of this session, we talk about the system planning and initial investigation, which is the very important part in system analysis and design. Right now, I told you the system planning is the first phase. So during the planning, we are planning to create an effective information system. Now, when we talk about the effective information system, we discussed last time, organization, you have different processes and we need to carry out its mission. Now, for example, if you take a university, we want to provide the students with the knowledge and skills and attitude that they need for to master their profession. So the aim is like using different processes, we want to achieve that mission. So creating an information system also the same, we want to achieve the same. So when the higher administrations having their long-term plans, we call it strategic planning. And we have to look at what the purpose of this, the mission, and also the values that they are going to inculcate in the organization. And then they develop the what we call the mission statement, which will lead to goals and objectives. And finally, what is happening right now, day-to-day operations, right? So this is very important phase. Now, one thing that we discussed last time is when you want to know this in the beginning, the organization should look at different tools to examine its strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. So this is called SWOT analysis. So what it does basically, based on this, could be done in different levels. One is organization level, we call enterprise level, or even you can do the same thing for individual project level. That means it lower level. So the questions that we are going to ask during this analysis is, we will ask, okay, what are our strengths? How to use them to achieve our business goal. Now, one of the strengths, we could, like, let's say, take our university. So we can talk about, okay, we have a qualified with staff with postgraduate qualification. So that is a strength. Now, how can we use them to achieve our business goal? So providing the students with the necessary skills and attitudes, right? So we can make use of positively. What are our weaknesses, right? So maybe our infrastructure, it might be a problem. Like, so sometimes the buildings, the necessary space might be issue. So how can we reduce, or how do you eliminate them? Because first of all, you aware that your weaknesses. What are opportunities? How do we plan to take advantage of them? Now, for example, one of the advantages you might having, you have two locations, right, in the campus. So we have trace and we have here. So here we have a residential part, and here, there you have an industrial, real industrial environment is there. Like, how do you like take advantage of them? What are the threats and how we assess, manage, and respond to the possible risk? Like, there are many other, private universities, and also you have to compete with the public universities. So how do you like handle this? Likewise, any organization, you can make this analysis, and it's very important. Right. Now, let me show you like one example where we can talk about this. Now, this example is from the textbook, which I have shared in the Moodle, your LMS. You can read about it more detail, but in briefly, it's about a web development organization. So they say that their strengths are excellent web design staff, low system analysis turnovers, recently upgraded network. So they consider it as their strengths. The weaknesses, okay, they were using legacy system, old systems, right? And then there's no budget increases, it's turned down. And the documentation needs upgrading, maybe you have all documentation. Similarly, opportunities well positioned for expansion, maybe the location of the web development company can be first with new software, right? So you will be the first one to use that software, and then high potential for business to business growth. So those are opportunities. Then you list down the threats. Aggressive new web competition, because there are a lot of web development competitions are coming. Impact of new regulations, the rules, and then other firms offer better benefits for their employees. So that could be seen as threats for a company. Right now, this is organization level. And I told you the same analysis you can done for a lower level. Now, this is the same sort analysis, but for a patent. Now, patents we use to cover our rights. Now, when you have a new invention, we put up a patent application, right? So patent application could be individual, or patent application could be through the organization. So when you have corporate patent, which means like organization level patent. So strengths for this is like they have listed there, our patent covers valuable technology that we can use to in popular products. So the usage of this patent is huge according to their strengths. Weakness, our patent has the limited time. So any patent, you have a time period. Now, once it expires, anyone actually could be used same technology, right? So you will lose your advantage. Then opportunities, we can use the technology in more products, license to others, seek more patents. So there are a lot of opportunities when you are actually putting up a patent. So that's listed under opportunities. Threats, a competitor might develop similar technology. Right now, when you make a new invention, others also are trying to find like the same. Now we were talking about the ChatGPT last couple of months, 2 months or so. Now we have Google Brad, for example. Competition is always there, right? Okay. So what will happen during the system planning phase? Analysis reviews the business case, which is the basis or the reason for a proposed system. Right now, business case, the term business case is used is normally when system is actually planning an information system, let's say a new information system, they want to make a case. You cannot like, although maybe organization need the new information system, but you have to get some approval, right? So that means you have to make a business case for that. And when you talk about the business case, it should describe the project clearly, right? That developing a business information system will be a project. Like some of you are doing, maybe your final years are doing a final year project. So it's a project. So you have to be very clear about before you start, even if you start, you have to make a plan. Right. The first one is provide a justification proceed, like, okay, the requirement of information. You should have to justify it. You have to say, okay, why it is needed. And then you have to estimate the project financial impact, because you have to spend money on any project. Any development work costs a lot of money. And then we want to see what will be the return, what you will get by developing an information system for organization. So basically you have to talk about like what financial impact you are getting from developing an information system. Right. Now, these are some of the questions you should ask, right? Now, for example, any project that you start with, why are we doing this project? Now, let's say you are developing a face recognition system, like this is one of the final year topic. Let's say why we are doing this. So you have to have a good answer. Similarly, organization, if they are developing a new information systems to handle their operations in the organization, you have to ask why you need to do this. What is it the project is about? And how does this solution address key business issues? So what are the issues that you are going to solve using a new information system? So because we are talking about developing new systems. Now, the next part is very important. I told you like this information system, believe me, you have to cost a lot, right? So that means how much it will cost. You have to have an idea before you start. How long it will take and how much money you need to spend, how long it will take you get the benefit of this. So you have to have a control over this. So there are other questions like, will we suffer productivity loss during the transition? Like when you're implementing a new information system, sometimes it might take to user to adapt to the system. There are many issues might evolve. So whether there are any productivity loss, you need to measure early. What is the return on investment and payback period? I will explain these terms later on with an example. Return on investment meaning like how much you invest and how much you are getting back. And payback means how long it will take to get back what you spent. What are the risks of doing the project? What are the risks of not doing the project? So you will see, okay, do we really need to build a new system? Yes or no? You have to think about in both terms. Then next one, how will we measure the success? So when are you going to say that, okay, this project is a success or not? You have to have measurement, right? And you have to see what alternatives exist. What are the other alternatives exist, right? So these are some of the questions that you may ask when we are preparing a business case. Right. Now let's talk about the projects. Now, system projects, for example, that means when you're building a information system, your intentions are like improve performance. You want to do it quickly. Provide more information. So nowadays, very popular that you can have dashboards. The idea is you have to present it clearly, right, in an understandable way. You need to reduce cost. You need to strengthen the controls or provide better service. So this could be one of these. But the problem is there are many issues. So there are various internal and external factors affects your projects. For example, user requirements. What other users are expecting from you? Top management directives. What top management says, because you have to sometimes, have a mutual agreement with the top management when you want to deliver. Existing systems, IT department, software, hardware vendors, technology, customers, competitors, the economy, and even the government. So all may affect this. Right. Now you can see in graphical terms, the system request means the information system requirement comes to do different things, to reduce cost, for more information, for better performance, for improved service, more support. Right. Now let's see what will happen during the initial investigation. Now this is called preliminary investigation. And we have analyst. He's the one who actually going to evaluate systems requests and determines whether the project is feasible. Now, sometimes when you want to build system, right, maybe you don't have a technology to implement those. So the very first question that you should ask is whether this project is feasible, whether we can do this project, right? And not only that, you have to focus on operation level. Operational level means once you have project completed, you have to implement it and somebody has to use it. Operation level. Whether it's technically feasible, whether we have required technology to do something that we are going to propose. Right. Now, when we talk about the feasibility, I already mentioned some of the terms. Like operational feasibility means like once the system is developed, right? Then the users are going to use it. Like SIMs, now SIMs are used by faculty as well as students. But the problem is if the users face difficulty with the system, it will not provide the expected benefits. So that's what we look at under the operational feasibility. Next one, we call it technical feasibility. Whether we have technology to address these. Right? So we have to decide on what resources you need to develop or purchase or install or operate the system. So this is called technically feasible. So during the preliminary stage, you have to see whether this is operationally feasible, whether once you develop it, whether we have enough staff members to use this, whether the requests are technical feasible. Right. Another two, like economic feasibility. Now, when you say, economic feasibility, it means like project benefits, right? So whatever the proposed system, you have to weigh the costs. These costs are known as cost of ownership, TCO. Again, I will discuss in the coming session. And simply what it means is the support, ongoing support and maintenance cost, as well as acquisition cost. Acquisition means whether you have purchased or whether you are going to build your own. So you have to spend that cost as well. So that also you have to consider when you talk about economic feasibility. Last one, schedule feasibility, right? So when you have a project, you have to have a time frame and you have to stick on it and you have to finish that. So schedule feasibility means a project you can say in an acceptable time frame. So there's no fixed hard fast rule for this, but it's a mutual agreement between those who are going to develop the system and those who are going to use the system. Right. Now let's see what will happen. Now, as I told you earlier, the system analyst is the one who's going to responsible for this. He performs some investigation, initial investigation, like what are the requests? What are the recommended actions? And you have to get the approval. Once you actually approve this as a project, then you can interact with the people. So you can collect information on the problem, the opportunities, the project scope, constraints, project benefits, and estimated development time and cost. So the end product is simply a report to the management. Right. Now, let's look at what are the steps we have. First one, given a problem, you need to understand the problem or the opportunity. Second one, you define the project scope and constraints. Third one, you perform fact finding. So you need to know particular organization. So look at like what are the hierarchy. So you analyze or organize the hierarchy, you review the documentation, observe operation, conduct a user survey. And then the next one is analyze project usability, right? The cost, the benefits, the schedule data. So you have to look at those different costs separately. And evaluate the feasibility, how easy to use this system in operational level, how easy to use this system as a technical level, how easy to use as an economic level, and has feasibility, right, when you have the schedule. So once you gather all information, you can actually present the results and you recommend a management what to do. So when you're reporting, so those are the 4 things that you can have a look at it. First of all, look at what the problem or the opportunity is, look at the benefits, then have a, right, then have a project scope and constraints, and then finally you can have costs. Right. Now, we are going to talk about very important part, because any project, we need to discuss how to manage a project, right? So the project management I'm going to discuss in very brief, as well as some of the techniques actually proposed in the book. So let's look at it. Right. Now, once we actually decide on what project that we are going to handle, we are going to manage the project. So when you say project management, So we have couple of phases. First one, you need to plan the project, then schedule it. When you say scheduling, you have to decide on, okay, how many weeks you need, how many months you need, and so on. Third, we have monitoring. Fourth, we have reporting on the development of an information system. So when you want to say a project is a success, how do you say project is a success? Okay, one method to say the project is success is, okay, you can complete on time. So let's say I have given you 2 weeks deadline for assignment. So how do you say that your attempt is successful? If you could at least, submit this before the deadline, right? A successful project must be completed on time. It means the time constraint. Within the budget, you have a limited budget, and then you deliver a quality product that satisfies the user and the meet requirements. So the last part is very important. You can have any of these earlier, but last one is very important. Delivering a quality product, because then only you can satisfy and meet user requirements. Right. Now, this is a graphical view of what you mean by project a success. So there are some constraints, and together with the scope, the cost, and the time, you need to make a balance of this. So what you see is project triangle shows a 3 legs: project cost, scope, and time. And project manager must find the best balance among these elements before a change in any leg of the triangle will affect the other 2 legs. Project management technique can be used throughout the SDLC. So remember that this part is very important. You can have a list. Right. Okay. So let's look at what we have. We have different charts could be used for this very same. So let's look at what the managers are responsible. Especially in any project, we have what we call project manager. Right, now there are a couple of tasks you can see about the project manager. First one, the project plan. So you have to identify everything from beginning to the end. So these are known as tasks. Now let's say you are going to develop a software system. You need to develop the database. Then you can coding, right? Then you can write SQL statement for coding and so on. So planning together with the time frame, maybe the first one 2 weeks, the second week 1 week, and so on, right? So the project planning is a must. So identify all the object tasks and implement the competition, time and cost of each. Second one, scheduling. Now, sometimes when you schedule tasks, we are depending on some of the other tasks. So we need to clearly see this, right? So before you create a database, for example, you have to have a database design or ER diagram. So likewise, some events may depend on other tasks. Therefore, we talk about the Gantt charts or PERT, CPM charts, we call it, right? For the same reason. Then monitoring, right? You have to monitor, you have to guide them, you have to supervise them, you have to coordinate the project team's workload. Finally, reporting, regular progress report to the management, users, and the project team itself. So you can see, so it's not an easy task for a project manager to handle everything. Next one, planning, scheduling, monitoring, and reporting all take place within the larger project development framework, which includes 3 steps: creating a work breakdown structure, identify task pattern, and calculating the critical path. So when you want to talk about this planning, you have to, follow some of the rules. And here you will see they talk about different, key steps. Right? So the first one, as I told you earlier, so we can have work breakdown structure, identifying task pattern, and calculating the critical path. Right. Now, so far we discussed about a little bit of theory, what is going on. Now let's focus on another technique.
Now, this technique is known as work breakdown structure. So that means when you have a larger project, we are trying to, break it down to smaller tasks. And then you are trying to, handle this task one at a time. And then once you clearly finish this, then you can actually have a, um, the duration, right? Okay, so here is how we can actually start. Now, first one is like you identify some of the tasks that you need to do, and then with together with the duration. So in this particular example, we put days. So that means when you're going to do something, the first task according to this is reserve the meeting room. And for that, you are allocating 1 day. Task 2, you are going to order the marketing materials. It might take some time. So in here, it says 9 days. Then you are going to brief the managers 2 days, send out custom emails 3 days, burn sample DVDs 3 days, load the new software 2 days, and do a dress rehearsal 1 day. Right. Now, the same thing, here you can see we have implemented the same using project management, using Gantt chart tools in Excel. And you can see the same. Some tasks can go in parallel, right? For example, 2 and 3, we can see, right? We have reversed the meeting road, and then we use it. Right. So let's look at how we can actually draw these Gantt charts. So Gantt chart is what we call a horizontal bar chart. When you say horizontal bar chart, it represents project schedule with time on the horizontal axis, and tasks are arranged vertically. Now this is what you see here. So reserve the meeting 1 day. So if you start with the one of the days, by the end of the second date, you are going to finish it. Then you are going to order the marketing material and brief the managers. Both can be run in parallel. You can see here, right? It will take some more days, but in parallel, you can do that, right? Then fourth one, sent out custom email. Fifth one, burn sample CDP. Both could happen at the same time. So you see here. Sixth one, load new software and do the dress rehearsal. So you hope you got the idea of putting or showing in graphically. Right. Now, when you actually, this is what normally we design, that is in the beginning of the project. Now, then we can access whether you have really done that. Right. So the dates you can see here, and the yellow colors are halfway they have finished, but it's not completed. Right. Here also the right. So you can see yellow indicates the current progress, whereas blue indicates the what you actually designed in the beginning. Right. Now see per 10 CPM charts shows the project as a network diagram, task connected by arrows. Using pre-staged by calculation with the project manager uses per chart to determine the overall duration of the project and provide specific information for each task, including the task IDs, their duration, start, finish time, and other in which they must be performed. With this information, the manager can determine the critical path, which is the sequence of tasks that have no slack time and must perform on schedule in order to meet the overall project deadline. Okay, important questions that we have seen here is sometimes you might not be able to finish the same day. right? Right now in day 1, same day, right? Okay. So if you go back again, right? So we will have some starting points, right? So per chart, I will show you discuss is actually a kind of a box shape. And within that box, we are going to keep information like the task, like the IDs, the duration, start and finish, right? So once you actually have everything, now they can decide how long it will take to finish. So that's what it means here. Slack time is you take some time with a particular guy, right? And then you have to perform on a schedule in order to meet the overall project deadline. So it's a must, right? And here is how you might actually see again, this is from the book. So you have prepared the tasks, and then you can draw the charts. And with this, then you can have a detailed version of this. Right. Now, let me show you another graph from the internet. So here you can have swim lane as well. Swim lanes, if you remember, we talk about this in business process management as well. But here we use as a website design processes. So the first task is like within 2 weeks, you are designing a website. Now, once you have the design, you can start these 3 tasks similarly. So writing HTML, contact support provider, create artwork. The 3 things can be done in parallel. Once you have everything, you can test the software, you can upload the method. Right. Now we talk about the Gantt chart. It offers some information, but you have more scheduling, right? Useful for scheduling, monitoring, and controlling the actual work. Right. Next one. A work breakdown structure must clearly identify each task and include an estimated duration. A task or activity is any work that has beginning and end and requires the use of company resources such as people, time, and money. Now, for example, when you say conducting interviews, you can have a rough estimate how many time you are going to spend on this. Then you have events or milestones. So event or milestone is a recognized reference point that you have monitored the progress, right? So an example is start of user training, the conversion of the system data, and the competition of interviews. Right. Now let's look at how we can calculate the times. Right. So now the problem is we have identified some idea how to come up with this breakdown structure. And then you can see what is happening. So first of all is use of questionnaires, and then questionnaire, you will have a series of tasks. Right. Okay. The first one, start work on questionnaire. So prepare questionnaire. Okay. So you do that and you create a task on this. Then you create a question approved. And then all questions are distributed. All questions are returned. Tabulate completion. Right. Now let's look at how to calculate the time it will take. Right. So let me share the screen. Okay, now that we discuss the importance of this, we need to now find time and cost estimates. Right. We have identified tasks as well. Now, for example, here we have rough idea how long it will take to complete. So for example, reserve the meeting room. It can be done within 1 day. So similarly, we are going to have such a system. Right. Now, when you talk about the estimating time, right, we have to see how we actually calculate the estimation. So this is what we were doing. In this case, we have estimated, especially the best first case, 4 times the P, that means probable case estimate, and W is the worst time estimate. And then you can estimate, and then you divide by 6. So you get a measurement for the project activity. Right. Small exercise for you to try. First of all, take down this question. Maybe you can take a screenshot of this. And then we can go back. I will show you the equation again. Just put the values and send me the answers in the chat. Okay, here is the exercise. A project manager might estimate the file conversion task could be completed in as few as 20 days or could take as many as 34 days. But most likely we'll receive 24 days using the formula. Right, and calculate the expected task duration. Right, okay, let's see. Just let me know if you are finished. Please raise your hands and then I will go back to the previous one. So in this particular case, you will see this will show you a dependent task. To start the second task, you have to wait until the first task is finished. So it starts with day number 1, finish by day number 5. So basically, it will wait this one. It start with day number 6. You see what happened here, right? Okay. Right. So altogether, it will took about like 14 days. Then the second one is called multiple successor task. Multiple successor means after this one, there are 2 tasks waiting to start. So the development, it took about 30 days. You can see here, start date is 1, and this is day number 30. So both will start day number 31. And this will finish within 30 days, and this will finish within 10 days. So altogether, it should take the 60 because although you start with 1, this takes finish 60 and 40. So altogether, we need 60 days. So the third one is for multiple predecessor tasks. To start this particular task, we have to wait until both of them are finished. So this start with 1, finish by 15. This start with 1, finish by 5. But anyway, we have to start by 16 because we have to wait until both of them are finished. So when a particular task is wait for multiple tasks, we call multiple predecessor tasks. Right. So ideas were very simple. Altogether, it will take about like 45 days according to this one. Right. So I get the exact answer from Ishan and Herban. Yes, exactly. Right. Now, when you draw all these possible tasks in a graph like this, it might get different patterns. So here you see some patterns. The first one is a dependent task. So the 2 is wait 1 to finish. Then here we will have 6 tasks. 2 is waiting for 1 to finish. Then there are 2 successor tasks. After 2, there are 2 tasks run after task 2. And here after task 3, there are 2 starting like 5 and 6. So we have dependent tasks and multiple successor tasks here. And the last one shows you dependent tasks, multiple successor tasks, and multiple predecessor tasks. For example, if you take 7 and 8, see what will happen.
7 is waiting until both 5 and 6 are finished. 8 is waiting until 7 and 4 is finished. Right. Now, why we are looking at this? It's important we know what is happening and to estimate when are we going to, for example, stop this. Now, when you have like, there are a lot of different paths. In any project, we have something called a critical path. Now, critical path means when there's a delay in one of the tasks, it will affects the whole project. So this is called critical path. If any task in the critical path falls behind, then your entire project will be delayed. So remember that, very important. So we talk about something called a slack time here. Now, slack time here means sometimes some tasks you can start after some time. You don't need to start at the same time. But when you talk about critical path, you cannot have any slack time, right? Right. So you have to calculate the start and finish date for each task. And then we have to determine what the critical path for the project. That is called the critical path, and there should be no delay in the critical path. So if there's a delay in the critical path, it will affect the final project outline. Slack time, on the other hand, so how much time you can take without pushing the complete date of the entire project, without change anything, how much you can make that delay. This is known as slack time. Right. Here is some small example. I want you to determine the start and end values, right? So ID numbers are given. So you have ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Task number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And the durations are also given. So the first task takes 30 days, sorry, 10 days. Second one takes 30 days, 5 days, 25 days, 30 days. Okay, complete start date and last date, like in previous. I will, like, show you my previous one like this. So start and finish date you need to figure out. Okay. So if the duration is 5, you start with 1, then it's 5. So when you start with 6, the duration is 9, the finish date is 14. You see how it goes. Okay. So let's do the exercise thing. Okay, here is what I have. Right. I want you to write me down how long it will take, how many days you will take to finish this according to the diagram shared with you. Okay, shall we start? So first one, you can start saying the start, day 1, right? So say start. This should be day 1. Start is day 1. Start day 1. So what is the end? So if you start with the day 1 and if it will take 10 days, the duration. So what is the end date? Yes. Now we have Hasindo saying that, okay, it will take 130 days for the whole project. So let's see. Yes, if this is day 1, we should end with day number 10, right? So you have to end with day number 10. So now when you say day number 10, you start with day number 11 here, right? So start, I'll put S only because I don't have space. Day number 11. So what is the end date for higher analyst? Yes, we are trying to plan. So the first one is day 1. We finish day number 10. Now this is start with day number 11. So what is the end date? So that was the question. Let me put E to N. Day that is 40, right? Day number 40. So actually what will happen, you add, the easiest way to do is you add day 1 plus 10, 11 minus 1, 10. So mainly we have day number 11 plus 30, it's 41 minus 1, this is 40. This is another way to handle this. So I will put only day numbers. So what is the starting value here? Plan training. Yes, task number 3. That is start with 41, right? What is the end date? Okay, Prasad also put it. Thanks for sharing your answers. So let me put 41 here. And this is also for the, to save some space, I will not type star and day numbers, just I will put the number. So this is also 41. So if you start with the 41, duration is 5 days, 41 plus 5, 46 minus 1 is 45, right? So the end date should be 45. Similarly, yes, 41 plus 25, that is 66 minus 1, this should be 65, right? So day number 65, you are going to finish this. Last one, what is the value? When are you going to start this training? Because you have to wait until both of these are finished. So day number 65, you are going to finish. That means you have to start with day number 66, right? So 66 plus 30, that is 96 plus minus 1, 95. So the total project time is 95 days, right? Are you in agreement with me? What do you think? So our whole project will take 95 days, starting from obtain authorization, hire analysis, plan training, arrange logistics, and announce training. So it will take 95 days. Okay. Now, which one is the critical path? Now, critical path means there should be no delays. Right? It's tight. If something is delayed, it will affect the total time. Right? So if you look at the critical path, right? Critical paths start from here. You have to go from here to here. There's no change of this. So day 1 to day 10, you start with day 11 and end with day 40. Then both start with 41, but this will finish early, right? This is the one takes too much of time. So this is in the critical path. So if it is 65, then this will start with 66. So the critical path is here. So we can say that, okay, the critical path. What do you mean by critical? You should not have any delays in this path. So the task ID is 1. I will put in that form 1, and then we have 2, then we have 4, and then we have 5. So no delay should happen in this path. This path means task 1. If something goes wrong in this, it will affect the total days. If something happens at ID number 2, it's delayed. If something happens to ID number 4, it will delay, right? 5, it will delay. So 1, 2, 4, 5 is known as critical path. So when you're managing the project, you have to very carefully look at the times, because it will affects your total project time. Very important. Now I have a question. Now you can see here we have plan training, sorry. We start for now day 41, we finish within 5 days. But you can delay, right? There's not necessary to start at day number 41. How many days you can delay this task? Right? How many days you can delay this task without affecting the total project time? I will repeat the question. You can see the plan training. It will take only 5 days. Yes. Now what you see here is you don't necessarily start with day number 41. You can delay if you want. My question is, how many days you can delay this plan training? Understood my question? How long you can delay? Yes. how long you can delay, because you know that you have to finish the last possible date for this is 65, right? It should be 65. So then to say 65, we have to start 61, right? How many days you can delay? It's 20 days, right? So you can compare the two, even if here it will take 25 days, this is 5 days. So the maximum possible delay that you can have is 20 days. So this is known as slack time, right? This is known as slack time. So the slack time or slack interval is 20 days, right? For this task. So that means task number 3, if we want, we can delay 20 days. We can delay 20 days. So we can say slack time is 20 days. So whenever we say slack time, it means without affecting your total project time, we can delay a particular task. And that time is known as slack time. Okay, good. I think we are good. We discuss in detail exactly what we have, right? So let's move to the next one then. So what we need to discuss is, right? Okay, we have this. We have a starting date. We have end date for the task 1, 10 days. Task 2, 30 days. Task 3, 5 days. Task 4, 25 days. Task 5, we have 30 days. So totally, we have, we can say it will take about 95 days to finish the project. Right, okay. Any questions? Right, now I will go back to the theory. There was a question on slack time. Dinesh asked me, like, what do you mean by slack time? So let's look at the definition first. So the definition for the slack time is the amount of time that the task could be late without pushing back the completion date of the entire project. Right? So now we know that some of the tasks in the critical path you cannot change, because when you change, it'll affect our total project time. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. Now, in the problem here, my question is, like, this is in the critical path. None of these tasks you can delay. So no slack time for any of these tasks, right? So let me clear to you that no slack time for any of these tasks, right? No slack time. Any of these tasks, no slack time. Here also, no slack time for this task as well. Here also, no slack time. No slack time means if you change the duration of any of these tasks, right, it will affect the total project time. Agreed? Okay, now let's look at this one. Now, without affecting to this, the latest possible date that we can start, finish is 65. So we can start the latest possible date is, to end is 65, right? So the duration is 5, so that means you have to start by 61. So the latest possible date that you can start the task number 3 is day number 61. So you can see there's a 20 days delay from 41 to 61. So we can say slack time for task number 3 is 20 days. This task can be delayed by 20 days without affecting the total project time, right? This can be simply said by comparing these two in this particular example, because this one, both of these are between these two tasks, and this will take 25 days and this will take 5 days. So the difference is 20 days, right? So now my point is, without affecting the total project time, you can delay the task number 3 20 days, and that is the slack time. Okay, good that you asked the question. So I hope others also learn from that. Right, good. Now, I will give you a small example that you should work, right? And as a group, right? So I'll put you in a groups. So take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. Right? So there are 11 tasks we have. Durations are given. Predecessor task mean, right? What task needs to be completed to start that particular task. Okay. For example, task 1, there's no dependency. That means immediately you can start. Task 2, 3, you have to wait until task 1 is finished, right? So once the task 1 is finished, only you can start task number 2 and task number 3. Then task number 4 and 5 should be wait until task number 2 finish. 5 should wait now, task number 3 finish. 6 should wait for 4. 7 and 8 should wait for 5. 9 should wait for 6. 10 should wait for both 7 and 8. 11 it should wait for 9 and 10. Okay, have you all finished taking down the screenshot of this? Yes. Now what you need to do is, like in previous case, right? Right, in previous case, determine the time it takes to complete the project. How many days it will take to complete the project? And what is the critical path? Right? Got the 2 questions? If you are ready, raise your hands. I'm going to put you in groups. Right? I'm going to put you in groups. And participation, I told you it's compulsory. Are you ready? Can you raise your hands? Okay, let me take a screenshot of this and put it in the WhatsApp so that you are ready to start. Right. Hello, I hope everyone is back from breakout rooms. So I have allocated, 25 rooms, and then and assigning 4 members each. Okay, just wrap up what we have done for today's session. I actually discuss about starting from SWOT analysis. That part we have done. We discuss importance of preliminary studies, and also 4 different types of feasibility: operational feasibility, technical feasibility, economic feasibility, and schedule feasibility. So under that, under the project management, we also discuss work breakdown structure, which gives you a structure of the task that you are going to execute. And we discuss how we could find out the time it takes to complete a particular task. And then we discuss how to put into a chart, like a Gantt chart or something, using, in this particular case, we have given an example, and you are supposed to work on this, right? Okay, and then finally we discuss about the critical path or total time it will take to a project. Okay, so one final questions, like how long, those who have finished, how long it took, type your registration, type your group number and also your answer, please. What is the total time duration for this particular project? Anyone who has finished up to this point? Yes, I got 2 answers, 168 and 155. Okay. So maybe you have to try again to, okay, 168 again. I'm not going to say the answer right now, but I think interactive session, you can work with, and you can try to figure out which one is the correct answer. Okay. So that's all I have for today. I'll be covering, uploading these slides after finishing today's session. And then you will also get the video, so you can study on this.